You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway and we are back. We are back in the house. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Marcus Manlius. Good evening, Marcus.
Hello, good evening and chicken balls.
It has started already. I would just like to warn everybody out there, it has started already. We're talking chicken balls, apparently.
We are, yes.
And we are also joined in the studio by the amazingly lovely Mr. Carl Hutchinson. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, and I'd just like to say chicken balls.
Chicken balls, everybody. It's a Friday night.
Chicken balls.
It is.
I'd like to see this trending. Hashtag chicken balls.
Hashtag chicken balls, everybody. Start sharing and hashtagging.
There's going to be a load of male chickens wandering around with a complex. You can just see it now. A load of cocks walking around going, where's it gone? You're looking different,
Yeah, especially if you batter them as well.
See,
Adorable.
Now I wonder why Kerry had that baseball bat when I went round there. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen of the ether and listening world. You don't know, but I went up there with my missus and we stayed at Kerry's for the weekend. And do you know what? It was one of the wildest orgies I've ever had. It really was. And the aliens and everything, it was just terrible. Good night, though. Good night.
And I even watched some of it on video as well.
It was drunken, is all I can say, everybody. It was very drunken weekend. Yeah. Anyway, so we're back with our usual fun and frivolities on a Friday evening for you. If you are out there listening, don't forget we have a live and kicking chat room. We want to see your little faces in there. There is a little widget at the bottom where it says live, the Dark Mirror Show. There's a little speech bubble. Click on that. It gets you into our chat room and you can be part of the discussion. The discussion tonight is all about the infamously secret Area 51.
Ooh.
See, I love all that sort of stuff because I get to say aliens. But Carl went there and he pretty much ate all the aliens, I think, or turned them into chicken balls. I'm not quite sure.
A bit of both, really.
Well, my beautiful men, you have talked me into a subject I literally have very, very non-knowledge, shall we say? Very, very non-knowledge. That was so good grammatics there. Okay. So, from my understanding of Area 51, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, this is just a secret Air Force base in America, in Arizona or Nevada.
Bit of both.
Right.
It spreads over both states.
Right. And basically, it's just secret because they test spy planes there.
Not necessarily.
Ooh.
Well, the base has been there for, well, going back to before it. Well, the base is, there's something been on the land for back to the days. Back in 1870 was the first mention of Groom Lake, which is the dry bed. So.
I've just got to say something. Back then, they called it Groom Lake. Were there strange men in flip-flops and sandals then?
Probably not, because I believe they were looking for gold, because the first documented owners of Groom Lake was the English Groom Lead Mill Mines Limited.
English or Scottish?
They were a bit of both, really.
Ah, okay. Right.
So it was basically during the major gold rush days. The English Groom Lead Mines Limited purchased the place back in 1870. So there's been something on site for a long, long time.
Well, they weren't mining for Mars bars or anything, were they?
No, I believe it was. I believe it was gold.
Oh, that's all right then. That's cool.
But they didn't find much, to be truthfully honest.
Right.
Well, no. Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
that's sort of like the reason. Why did they want to put an Air Force base there? Because there's not a lot there, is there?
It's a flat bed.
Well, it's a flat bed. It's a dry bed. It's dried leg bed. Sorry, a dried leg bed. It's a dry lake bed.
Well, you don't want a wet bed, really, because I mean,
I'm just going to put the dog's tooth back in. It's a dry lake bed.
Can you put the peanut butter down, please? I can see you on camera.
That's quite all right. You love a bit of peanut butter.
With your balls.
The Chihuahua doesn't.
Oh, I know exactly. But yeah, no. Back in the day, back then, it was a dry. Well, it still is a dry lake bed. So it's similar to if people out there think about where they test land speed records. So it's a salt based land. So it's very, very hard. If you look at the area photos that you can find online, it's complete dried lake. It's a huge big lake, and what they did was they built back in 1870 a few shack buildings where they were mining, and then over years it's been sold and moved on. Runways were built in, stuff like that, and then obviously when the US government purchased it back in the day, it then had this whole secret stigma behind it.
There was a reason why they had the secret stigma behind it, though, wasn't there?
Yeah. Basically, if we just go back to the history of it, so we had basically 1870 was the first mention that it became. Over the years, it was various things. Then, before the US government purchased it, it was named Homey Airport, which was a public airport back in its day in a few years.
What
and
airport?
Then Homey, Homey Airport. That was basically it was a landing strip. It was a non-tarmac.
I know some girls with those. I do.
Yeah?
Just thought I'd put that out there. Yeah. I know some girls with them.
A few homies.
Yes.
But yeah, back in the day, it was just a normal public airport before anything, and then the government or the U.S. Air Force purchased it, and then that became back. I think if I remember rightly, it was 1942, so just before the war, and it was name changed to Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Field. And that's basically when the whole mystery behind it sort of started back in those days.
So talk to me about Project Aquatone.
Oh, that's a few years on from when it was purchased. Basically, when the U.S. Air Force purchased it in 1941, and it was the Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Field, had two non-concrete runways, and each of the runways was 5,000 feet unpaved runways. And then over the years, it became more and more, and then they started to make it more secure. And then back in, I believe that it changed its name yet again. It's had several different names, but it also then became, after the Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Base, it then became the Groom Lake Test Facilities. and that's when it started to be used as Kerry said, when one of the most famous aircrafts, well, one of the famous in the early days, was the U-2 test, the U-2 spy plane.
That's right. Now, this is really where the secrecy really starts surrounding it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when I was looking into this, sorry, Mark.
Sorry, are you quite finished?
No, I hadn't.
I was just about to say that it wasn't for years and years and years. The government were like, no, we're not testing anything here. No, nothing to see here. Walk away. And yeah, the U-2 spy plane was tested and built there, but it wasn't until 2013 that the CIA basically eventually turned around and said, yes, okay, you caught us, we're testing things. And it's, after all those years of people saying, we're not stupid, we know what's going on, and they're like, no, we're not doing anything, and then you've got that. And there's a few other things I want to go into, but not just yet.
But I have to say, going back a little bit, when they did start doing the spy plane testing, like the U-2, that was really in the Cold War, wasn't it? Between, when there was that massive Cold War era with Russia, so they had to sort of find a real place out the way that wasn't being on the radar, as it were, pun intended. That the Russians weren't really watching.
This place is in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
It's 83 miles north of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It is in between 3 mountain ranges.
Mm-hmm.
It is technically, when as of September this year, I was flying into Las Vegas, and I was sat there in my seat, looking out the window, thinking, "Oh, this is lovely, la da 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 da." And then the captain came on and said, "If you look out of one window, you can see the lovely Hoover Dam, you can see the amazing, one of the wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon, blah 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 blah." And he said, "Well, if anybody sat on this side of the aircraft, which I sat, if you look between the two mountains in the distance, that is Area 51." I was like, not being nasty, but I don't want to see Hoover Dam. I don't want to see the Grand Canyon, because you can visit that. I want to see Area 51. So my face was straight at the window, looking between these mountain ranges. And I've got a lovely video, and you can see it, and you can, as we flew into Las Vegas. So, it's got that history. It's got that
vibe.
It's got that vibe, because at the end of the day, it's been shrouded in secrecy for so many years. Like Mark said, 2013.
Yeah.
So only 5 years ago, the US government said, yes, it does exist.
Well, it was a bit late, really, because there were photographs from the late 1940s, early 1950s of it. And it was actually quite rudimentary. It was incredibly... Considering there was supposed to be, all this stuff going on there, and all the conspiracy theories actually go from that time, there was only 2 hangars, a mess hall, and the staff there were actually just in sort of trailers. It was kind of like a really bad trailer park.
Camp. Trailer park.
Well, back in those days, before it had the whole conspiracy theory surrounding it, it was a military base that had hangars. It had these trailers for the people to stay in it. People drove in and out of it. It didn't have the security. It didn't have the amount of public land that was purchased over the years, which I'll cover in a little while. It was like that. You could drive up to the main gates. You could see the runway. But then all of a sudden, something happened. Before the U-2 testing that happened, before it became really secret, you had in 1947, you had the famous I'm going to say this to Mark. Just give me it to it, Mark. What were we talking about?
Oh, what? Aliens!
Thank you.
God, breaks my
But
ears
back in
every
1940,
time.
You're welcome.
back in 1947, when you had the Roswell crash, when it was allegedly being a weather balloon.
Weather balloon.
Yeah, exactly. But that was 1947, and that's when it
Hold
started
on.
to pick up.
Hold on. One of the
Right.
materials that was being tested at that particular area, though, was a radar-resistant material to deflect radar. So people were saying that it was a weather balloon. Could it have just been part of an aircraft they were testing for this radar-resistant stuff?
But why did it have strange writing on it, like rune-like writing on some of the spars that were found?
But that's only conjecture. No one's ever seen it.
Well,
That's only what somebody said. And we all know what false memory can be like. Oh, I'm playing devil's advocate tonight on the old alien factor.
Colonel Blanchard, who's the guy who was in charge of the investigation at the Roswell crash, he actually ordered the investigation into it because he saw some of those spars with the.
And also, you've got to remember the guy that actually is the patsy, as they call it in the conspiracy theory, that sat there in front of the cameras holding up the tinfoil.
Yeah.
He actually, with his children, who also did reports to it, that it had these funny writing on it. It had things that you would scrunch it and it would then come back out and it was completely flat and all this sort of stuff.
All right, well,
Yes,
let me play devil's
yes.
advocate once again on that. If you're in the middle of a Cold War with a country like a superpower, like Russia was at the time, and you are developing this kind of technology and you don't want them to get a wind of what it could be, and everyone's buying on the old alien theory, that is like a perfect cover story, and it captures the imagination, and you can imagine everyone's going, no, it wasn't, it's not a weather balloon, it certainly isn't alien technology, but we don't know what it is. I just have to play devil's advocate on this because I think if you're developing that kind of material, the last thing you want is it to be public knowledge that that's what it is. You're going to...
Perhaps.
Any story is better than no story, right?
Perhaps they were the inventors of Cadbury's cream eggs, and it was actually the tinfoil casing wrappers that they were testing.
Because
just before they deep fried them.
Because when you look at the cover that they used on Project Rainbow, right, which was to do with the A-12 aircraft, that is like, it looks like a honeycomb.
Yeah. But okay,
But that was later. I will say that was later.
That is a lot later, and obviously there is many conspiracy theories about the whole genre of the facility, whether there was aliens there after the crash in 1947,
But
etc.
they didn't have the facilities there at that time.
Yes, they did.
No, they had 2 hangars. They had a mess hall, and they had trailers.
But the thing is, if you look at the size of the hangars they had back in the day, they were larger than any other hangars,
and the length of the runway.
And the length of the runway. You've got to remember the runway is one of the largest at that time. Was one of the largest, and there was 2. They built another one. I think there's 4 runways now.
Yeah, the largest one, 6 miles long.
Yeah, is amazingly long, and that's coming down to obviously the test areas of the planes. If you're looking at that side of it, but you've also got to remember those hangars were built. The early photos, those hangars were huge.
But you're developing an aircraft that's supposed to fly higher, faster, resistant to all sorts of things. So in that hangar, you aren't just having an aircraft. You've got research and development areas. You've got engineering departments. You've got all sorts of other departments. You've also got a little man with a man saying that this paperclip costs $5,000 to lose the money somewhere.
You've got to remember.
You've got a lot.
Yeah, no, which I can understand, but
so it's going to make a big hangar.
You're covering a large amount of years. When the first hangars went up, they were small. Then obviously over the years they became bigger and bigger and bigger. You're talking about when they were developing the spy planes, developing secret aircraft. But there's a large period of time these hangars were huge, were bigger than any aircraft that were currently in the air at the time.
But I will go back to this.
A long time before.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing that the hangars were massive. What I'm saying is, if you look at the rest of the base and how rudimentary the rest of the base is, you aren't just going to put one plane in a hangar. There's going to be a whole wealth of work that's being done on that plane. And as I say, there'll be research and development areas, there'll be engineering, there'll be so much more going on in the hangar than just a plane sitting there and them tinkering along with a little, I don't know, oil can or something.
Can I just point something out as well? When it was then, yes, but now the place is 6 miles long, 10 miles wide, and it's apparently got buildings inside going down, not up, but going down 30 to 40 stories.
Where's the proof?
And the government also sees an additional 85,000 acres around it to keep people's prying eyes out.
Well, back in
But if you're developing spy planes, you don't want people knowing what you're developing. So that makes sense to me. That's a logical thing. You aren't going to say, oh, come up right up to the gates and see what's going on. I just think people read too much into things because they want to. Because they want there to be something more like deep and dark secrets. When, quite frankly, it's a spy plane, everybody. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to allow people to get too close to technology they're developing when they're in. That could tip the balance in a Cold War scenario.
I think back engineering, possibly.
I'd agree. I would agree with Mark. When you come down, when you look at it, and you look at the research, you look at the interviews that have been done of people that used to work there over the years. We're going back years and years and years. Yes, there's hangars. Yes, they're bigger than any planes of the time. But my idea of that, the reason is about that is instead of having them on the surface, what is going on there? You need a big building so you can then progress. Hide what you're doing. And that's the thing. You can go on Google Earth. You can put Area 51. You can see now what is going on.
But you can't see. It's the same with Tonopah. You can't see the last, I think it was 10 years.
I think the last time it was updated was 9 years ago. When basically when obviously the Public Acknowledgement Act from the Freedom of Information back in 2013. That was the last time it was acknowledged, and that was the last time it was allowed to be updated. So what you see is a few years old. And you look at the photos back in the day to looking at what it is the area photographed. They've built new runways. They've built new buildings. They've got rid of the famous porter cabins or trailers or whatever it was called.
Yeah, now they've updated it a lot, obviously, because they found out how useful it was to test aircraft. Yeah, because of the conditions. The other thing I would just like to say is, where's the nuclear testing ground for America in Nevada?
Stinky Bob Sands, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, if I remember rightly, isn't that northwest, and the winds take the radiation through that area?
Well, it's what they call Area 52, Area 53. So the reason it's got its name Area 51 is when you look on a map, that is the area that it's in. It's nothing secret about it. It's just a number to indicate that.
But yes, could that be why they bought that amount of land, because of the radiation output from that particular time? Could it be?
Yeah, you could say that, but at the end of the day, when was the last time nuclear weapons were tested on mainland America?
Frensham Flats. That was where they did the first test.
Yeah. The thing is, and yes, I kind of believe, and I believe there's this famous line out of a film: the best way to hide something is in
plain sight.
Plain sight. And yes, Area 51 has that whole image. And yes, I personally believe it is. It's like, look at this hand, while this hand's taking your wallet out of your pocket. So I believe that has something to do with it, and I believe that's why the American government, the US Air Force, etc., has the whole thing about Area 51 and how they keep it. And at the end of the day, if it is the most secure, one of the most secure areas in America. But at the end of the day, if you believed in that, why would they let tourists drive literally up to the back gate on one route, or the other entrances, the black mailbox, etc., etc. If it was where they were keeping little grey men, not little green men, because at the end of the day, it's little grey men, because that's what they believe was in Roswell. Is it something that keeps people's attention there when other things are going on elsewhere?
Well,
I was going to say, there's also the thing that's been going on, what's been going on for a couple of years now. The sonic booms that have been heard in Midwest America, and they've all been going along that one particular line. Along that one particular line, there's been sightings of massive pipes and stuff, like with Colorado Airport and stuff like that are sighted, and nobody knows what's happened with the pipes. But there's been so-called stories, he says in inverted commas, of people that have worked on it, and there's all tunnels being built linking one area up to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. So if you are building something secret, or there's something alien, or alien technology, or back technology, whatever, you can get it from one side of the country to the other. Nobody's going to know.
Okay, so I want to take you back a little bit further. I want to go back a little bit more in time. When they first started developing the A12, which was the next generation up from the U2, yeah, but it was actually started to be developed in California, and they had to transport it across America above ground on the back of a lorry. Now, the driver is well renowned for saying, like, whenever he got asked what they were transporting, because they had to, some of the things they did to get this transported across, they had to take bridges out, widen roads. They really had to do quite a magnificent feat, quite frankly, to move this plane. And it was done in a big box, basically, on the back of a lorry, wasn't it?
They also did the F-117 Nighthawk there.
Well,
the
driver, when every time he was asked, he would say he was carrying a flying saucer.
Of course he would.
And so do you not think that this is where these stories and this phenomena comes from? Just a flyaway, it's a flying saucer in the back, because he isn't going to say, I'm carrying the brand new A12 Fracra, which is fire faster resistant to radar. He's not going to do that.
But Kerry, at the end of the day, if you tell a driver that, yes, you're carrying a flying saucer, he's going to say, I'm carrying a flying saucer. People go, yeah, you're carrying a flying saucer. But what happens if he was actually carrying a flying saucer?
I don't buy into this theory at all.
Well, at the end of the day, round the UK, currently, now as we speak, there is nuclear waste using public railway lines travelling around the UK up to a certain place in Scotland, which has the same has the same sort of security as Area 51. I know. As a same situation, there's a place up in Scotland where they transport nuclear waste, and it comes from all over the country. There's every single night of the day where there's these things being carried on public railway lines.
I think a lot of it with Area 51, if it is just stories and hearsay, then yeah, you could be... but there's been a lot of testimonies, a lot of video footage, which, before you step in, I think a lot of the video footage could be planes being tested and stuff like that. But some of the things, the manoeuvrability and stuff, I don't think we have the technology to do that yet. But some... Yeah.
But the thing is, you've also got to remember, when people are seeing these lights in the sky, could have been the U2. At that particular moment in time, what the lights they saw in the sky could have been the U2. Then you go on a little bit further. Yeah. Nobody's ever seen the Bluebird project, the Bluebird stealth bomber. Or then you go look at things now, and you look at the stealth bomber in modern time. Nobody's ever seen these things fly. So if you're seeing those in the sky and they're manoeuvring slightly different to anything else that you've ever seen, you're going to jump to conclusions.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
No. But there's, and again, as I said, but you've also got the apparent eyewitness deathbed testimonies of people who worked there.
Yeah, well, you've got people like Bob Lazar.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Yeah, but
carry on.
At the end of the day, the thing that makes me concerned about the whole situation, it's had various different names over the years, from back in the day when it was Hommy Airport, Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary. to the Paradise Ranch, to the famous thing, the Dreamland, etc., etc. But it also, the government has purchased land without telling people. They basically said, we're buying your land. And like back in 1984, nearly...
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you again.
Siri's
Aliens,
answering
that's
you.
what
I
it
love
is.
that. I love the way Siri's tried to answer that. I'm sorry. Please repeat. I didn't get that.
Like in 1984, the government purchased 89,000 acres of public land.
That's right.
Didn't give anybody a choice. They just basically said, right, we're taking your land.
But
That
they've
was
done this
back in
before.
1980. Yeah, but no. This is the biggest purchase around a military installation in history.
Yeah.
For any military installation. And that was back in 1984. And then back in 2004, they purchased another 4,500 square miles of public land. So we're not just talking a little bit of area that I can't actually see. We're talking, you have to be miles away.
Yeah.
We're talking miles. They've even moved airspace around it.
Yes, but I still
So
don't
you go-
understand how everyone then jumps to the conclusion that because they've done that, it's UFO technology, alien technology.
I'm not saying it's UFO. I didn't say it was UFO.
So why? Just because they've purchased that amount of land, because they're developing a air force base, that still is. I don't see the issue. I don't see the problem.
I think the problem you've
or
got
am I
is-
being thick?
No, you're not being thick, Kerry. I think what the thing is, like we said before, is you're looking at this hand, we're doing all this stuff, we're like buying land, we're like keeping people away, when really
Left hand doesn't know
something
what the
else,
right hand's doing.
something else is going on.
They're
And
doing
at the end of
sleight
the
of hand.
day, they're doing sleight of hand. They're doing the old cheap magic trick that you find people hustling 83 miles south of the base in Las Vegas doing on the street corners. They're hustling people. Look at this while we do something else. And I think that's what they're doing. I personally, and I will say this now, I personally think Area 51 is a cover.
See, I think technically he's correct, because why would you have something and you build up such an ethos around it so that you get everybody going, oh. If you've got everybody focused on that, what about the place down the road? Like I said when we was talking about the other one, Area 52. What about that down the road? Say everybody's looking at that. Nobody's paying attention to that. I genuinely think there are a lot of places in not just the US government, but all governments, where they do, obviously they are going to be testing stuff and this, that and the other. But I do think that you've got that 0.01% where things are being tested that aren't run-of-the-mill and aren't, without trying to sound mad, they aren't of this earth.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
can I
then
ask a question? So they've now got this huge amount of land. They've bought this huge amount of land, right, that surrounds this area.
As Lee's just said in the chat room, why expand an already vast exclusion zone? Exactly.
Hold on 1 second. Let me carry on with this thought pattern. Right, so it's huge, this area of Area 51, right?
It's
You could say that. It's
Okay.
huge.
Is there a flight? There must be over the entire area flight restriction.
There's
Yes,
only
you do.
one flight allowed in and out, and that's the one that takes the
The Janet flight.
Yeah. That's the one that flies the employees in with blacked out windows on the planes, or when officials come in.
The funniest thing about I personally think that's a cover story, because at the end of the day, as I found out, you land at Las Vegas Airport, you from the UK, you go up to the terminal, you've got Terminal 2, you go past these Janet Air flights, the white planes with the red stripe, the blacked out windows. You taxi past them. You can stand literally the other side of a fence in public land to Las Vegas, McCarran Airport. You can stand backing onto these flights.
All right.
They
Again, not
taxi
seeing the
to
point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if at the end of the day, you ain't going to be bussing. If there's that amount of people working there, you're not going to be bussing those people in. Yes, people do get bussed in because you've got the nearest town, which is Rachel, which is at the end of there, which people do bus in. And yes, you can go there, which I have been to, and you can see the bus parks. You can see the white board pickups for the camo dudes that are parked outside the police station. You can go to a junction at the end of the road, which is called the city highway, which has a really weird name, and you can see the black mailbox. You can see this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, you've got to get. If this is a military installation, you've got to get people into it.
Yeah, obviously.
But why they have these planes called the Janet flights that are basically you can't track. You know they're there because you can see the things taking off. White planes, old jets, white planes with a red stripe down the side and a red tail, blacked out windows. You can see people getting on them. They do. I think Mark said there was one flight, but there was actually two flights. 2 flights in the morning, 2 flights in the evening, bringing people back. These things take off. You can watch them. I paid money to go and see this. You see these things.
Oh, that's a
you see people getting
scheme,
on.
Isn't it?
Exactly. But
I tell you, I still don't see the point. You've got to get people to work there. So whether you do it on a plane or whether you do it on a bus, I just don't see the relevance here. I really don't see they've got to go from somewhere to somewhere. And aeroplanes, there's only so many places aeroplanes can be.
Well, the only reason they got airplanes is because we haven't quite developed the teleportation devices yet.
I'd love that to happen.
And at the end of the day, with the amount of land they purchased, it would take a long time to drive into the place.
Oh, God, yeah.
The quickest way to get people in and out of places. It's like you think about it. You look at places like Boscombe Downs in the UK.
Yeah.
Boscombe Downs.
God, I used to live in there.
Yeah, is the UK's equivalent to Area 51.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can drive straight past it on the A303.
But we are a little bit more tight for space than America. America has got, I always have this issue, actually, with America in regards to how much space they've got compared to, like, the UK. You know what I mean? It is huge. It's massive. They have that ability to have that exclusion zone. I mean, Leah's just put into the chat room, maybe current technology is capable of infiltrating the Area 51, whatever's going on there. So that's why they needed to make the parameters so, so large. So you can control that technological, I don't know.
Thingamajig.
Yeah. I mean, you come out. God, it's bad enough with your mobile phone. You go down to Somerset, and you're dropping in and out a signal all the time. So maybe they needed that extra area to stop that thingy.
That's because they all
technological.
When you go down Somerset, they all live off the side of there, and like when you look at the satellite that's up there, it says sponsored by Ginsters. That's why they're not very good.
But do you see where I'm going with this? This is my main issue with these kind of conspiracy theories.
You've also got Pine Gap as well. You got Pine Gap as well, which again is USAF, but it's the Australian Area 51.
Yeah.
But this is my main issue. I think every country has got it.
Yeah, they have.
Russia's got the best one. You can't even view it on Google.
Is that the underground city?
Yeah. You just basically go to Google and you get to this one place in the middle of nowhere in Russia, and you can't even, like Area 51. You can get photos going back 10 years or whatever. You can see the place. You have never been able to see the place in Russia on Google Maps.
No, Russia's very closed doors, though, isn't it?
Exactly. China's exactly the same. There's a place in China.
Yeah.
All these places have these places. There's places in the UK. There's places that, yes, okay, Boscombe Downs, I gave you a scenario, but there's other places in the UK. You've got the place...
There's a radar place near me.
Can I put a thing out there? And I'm not being derogatory or I'm not being disrespectful, but could this come down to purely and simply how each country's people deal with stuff? Americans are renowned for being quite open-mouthed, so they know someone's going to say some things somewhere, so it's better to put a crackpot theory of alien technology and all that sort of stuff going on, and then that gives the Americans something to talk about. The Russians are notoriously closed doors. It is very, very, always has been. Even though it's now a little bit more open, you can go and visit it as a tourist and stuff now. It's still very, very private. They're very private people. The British, very stiff upper lip. We go, yes, we know it's there, but you're not coming in, kind of scenario. And we can keep our mouths shut if we want to. Do you know what I mean? So could it just be down to a cultural difference?
You look at the conspiracy theories around Area 51. 1947.
Some of them are ridiculous.
Yeah. 1947, Roswell crash. We've got little grey men, not little green men because they weren't green. They were supposed to be grey. Happened. And we have back development over the years from that. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair enough. One of the weirdest, I didn't until I did my research a few years ago, they reckon that the moon landing was actually filmed in one of the hangars at Area 51.
Yeah, because there's so many anomalies with... Oh, my God. There's so many anomalies.
Yeah, exactly. That's completely... Now, that's another show. We talk about the moon landings.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, exactly. You've got this, and then you've got the whole thing, like the Bob Lazar bloke.
He when he did that, he put it out in the mainstream for the people with the tinfoil hats to go, ooh! You know.
Exactly. And there's so many other things. It's like, and obviously it's like being part of the modern culture in films. Area 51, Independence Day, Will Smith dragging the alien over the...
classic film.
Welcome to Earth. Smack.
I will say one thing, and I've said it all along with every single show we've done, and I strongly suspect Carl will agree with me on this one. I do not for 1 second think that we are the only planet with intelligent life. Well, when you look at certain areas like Scotland, I'm not sure if it is intelligent, but when you look out there, I'm not sure if these places... We are not the only ones with intelligent life on there, or battered Cadbury's cream eggs, or anything like that.
Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that. What we're saying is, why would they freaking well bother coming all the way to Earth? Why bother?
Because of disclosure. Because of disclosure.
Kerry, why wouldn't they?
Because if they wouldn't. If they're intelligent, they certainly wouldn't bother.
They're intelligent, they wouldn't come here.
But
one thing I will say... 20-odd years ago, if you tried to do full disclosure then, you've got the American Bible Belt and all that lot who would have gone up in arms, it would have thrown religion completely to pot and this, that and the other. Now, you've got a Pope who's saying, we are not the only ones out there, there's intelligent life out there, and you've got a lot of very famous people and very powerful people saying, I think we need, now is the time for full disclosure, because I think that the population could handle it. And I agree with that.
The thing is, and I love America. I have very, very good friends in America, and I visit it a lot, and I love the place.
I do not.
Take me with you next time.
The thing is, with America, they love a conspiracy. You've got the Kennedy assassination. You've got the moon landing. You've got Area 51. You've got this, that, and the other. You've got all these conspiracy theories. They love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Like 9/11. Everything. Everything is a conspiracy theory out in the States. So what I believe, and I've said this before, is what the government are thinking is, yes, everybody believes in conspiracy. Yes, we might as well make it out that there's something weird going on at this place. But then it takes the attention of what we're really doing.
Yeah. That's what we said earlier.
I completely agree with that.
You have this big thing going on, everybody pays attention to that. Left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, so you're watching that. Find the lady, as you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It's the car game. Find the lady.
I am not sitting here. I would just like to point out, I am not sitting here saying I do not believe that there is life forms on other planets, even possibly intelligent life forms. I just do not think they're getting in their little spaceships, coming to Earth and doing whatever it is that people say they're doing. I just don't believe that.
I don't know, in paranormal circles, if you look at some of the people including myself, you probably think, yeah, I can see that.
Well,
But at the end of the day, if you are, what you've got to think about is maybe if you look at if you're going to take it down to a genre of films, look at the Truman Show.
I love that film too.
Yeah.
You have a big brother looking over something that's going on.
But that's a whole new conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but
it's the Rothschild, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Conspiracy.
At the end of the day, what you got to think about is, yes, maybe we are I don't want to say this because it's going to make me sound like I'm some sort of crackpot.
Go on.
What do you mean? Maybe.
Exactly. There's people out there. There's people out there at this precise moment in time going, yeah, we always thought that. You imagine thinking that if we are the test tube on this planet and there's somebody else, it's a bit like that film Men in Black, where you open you open the locker in Grand Station Central train station, and there's another world inside. And at the end of the film, we're actually inside the locker and somebody else is opening it. Why wouldn't, if there's intelligent, more advanced people out in the universe, maybe looking at us, maybe visiting and thinking, what are these guys up to?
Well, there's also along those lines.
Oh, they'll be needing our help soon. They're ruining their planet.
You've also got the thing on the same lines of that as we're a computer program, and anything that happens is basically somebody playing the game and adding bits in there. Because that was turned into
mate, we really are going crackpot theory. We're talking about Area 51.
I did say it was another one, because that's where the game Star Ocean came from.
I have a great one then, Gary, which I've said this on numerous times to numerous people when we talk about ghosts. As it's a paranormal and it's a paranormal station, we're all interested in ghosts. We're all basically investigators. What happens if we are the ghosts and what we see are the living?
That would explain my ex-mother-in-law.
I ain't even given it an answer. You're not even going to come back on it. I just think it's ridiculous.
Richard Clements in the chat room, have you ever considered there is nothing to disclose? If there's nothing to disclose, then why would we need disclosure?
We don't need disclosure. And I would like to go back to this point. I do not believe, like you said, you think the public are ready for full disclosure if there is such a thing as disclosure needed in the first place, which I don't think. No, I totally disagree with you. The average man on the street is not going to quite happily go, I knew there was aliens all along. It's absolutely fine. Let's go and do myself some tea and toast and it'll all be all right in the morning. The propaganda that has been fed from media about aliens coming down and attacking us and eating us and God knows what else in us. That is not going to go down well. I totally think that I don't think there is anything to disclose in the first place. But if there is aliens coming down and visiting us and are integral in our governments, they are not going to disclose it. The public are not ready for that.
Yeah, but no. The thing you said there, which is just hyping up the whole conspiracy, everything is. They come and they want to probe us with things.
But that is what we are fed in books. That is what we're fed in books. That is what we're fed in films. That is what we're fed. We're fed fear in regards to that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you just
they want to come down here and sleep with our food and eat our women. So Yeah,
you just basically said, Gary, 4 different fictional things.
But that is what the public are fed on a daily basis,
so
and it puts that fear in there.
51 is not being fed. So the public believe one thing then?
Because, like you say, if it is a sleight of hand scenario, it feeds into that fear factor.
Correct.
Right? So, of course there's going to be interest in that. But I do not believe the public are ready for full disclosure. Eating us? No one mentioned eating us, says Lee.
I'm next month on the Dark Mirror show. These two might have stopped arguing.
I'm going back to a series. I don't think they ate humans. I think they ate rats. Actually, was it V?
Yes, they had cats and hamsters, and their throat opened up. I know some girls like that.
They went sort of like that, didn't it?
I love the way he's showing us, and no one else can see it. I just.
The original theme was brilliant.
Yeah.
But look at the culture that surrounded the whole Roswell incident, linking into Area 51 and the conspiracy. Oh gosh, it's kept many people enthralled for many, many years, hasn't it?
And it will do for many, many years going forward.
And isn't it more interesting than the prosaic? They were just developing, or are developing, technology that is way advanced from what we know on a day-to-day basis. And
that's been proven.
Spy planes. And just spy planes. It's a lot more exciting, isn't it? It's a lot more like thrill factoring. You know, you talk about paranormal investigating. It's the same kind of scenario.
I will say one thing I don't believe about Area 51 was one of the conspiracy theories about there was the alien autopsy thing, and I'm like, no, sorry, that was just a very good hoax, I think.
That was also a very funny film. Oh, they've all frozen on me. Oh, no, that's not good. I'm going to have to carry on talking about how I disbelieve in aliens visiting us forever.
Jesus, well. No, but still stories, reports that this thing happened, because there's this famous reports from orderlies, medical staff, photograph evidence. Not the silly stuff with the goggly eyes and we're talking about there is a reported and it's documented that 3 ambulances turned up at a local hospital near Roswell. They brought in body bags, documented. They went through them. Everybody and people were taking photos. It's the same about the Kennedy assassination when people were taking photos. The Secret Service came in, took the film. That's what happened with these. So there is documented evidence, but it also then gives, because they took the film, because nobody could tell you what was going on, whether it was this, that, and the other, it opens up to the conspiracy people.
Okay, but I have an answer for that one too.
Go on, Kerry.
Okay,
you do surprise me.
I have an answer for everything, boys. So if the Roswell incident was something more normal, like something forms of testing going on, maybe they were testing some form of suit, like a neoprene suit for a human. Then these people got killed in that accident, and that suit made them look like something they weren't.
Honey,
like,
where's my super suit?
Little green men, when they're not little green men, they're just humans with a neoprene suit on.
No, don't mention little green men. Little green men will just fuel it. If we're talking about Area 51, Roswell, it's little grey men.
Sorry, little grey men. Little grey suit. Could have been a suit. Could have been a neoprene suit, like a green suit, like they use in, a really super sucky, skin tight, grey material suit.
So basically, aliens came down, landed,
people.
And thought,
thanks, Lee. That's a good a scenario
as
any. That makes more sense in my brain than being aliens.
All right,
and
explain
a crash.
The Scandinavian aliens, or the Chinese ones.
Yeah, look at it culturally.
Yeah, guys.
It was a spacecraft that was sponsored by IKEA. That's the end of it.
We're gonna start talking about aliens around the world. That's a whole new subject.
That's a whole new subject, I know. But let's go back to Area 51.
Yeah.
I love the way Carl tried to pull us back to topic there, Mark.
Well, excuse me. It's the only research. If we're going to start talking about aliens about all over the place, that's a completely. I'm going to be lost.
So am I.
I did this research about 5-6 years ago. I've updated over the years, so I don't want to be talking about Chinese aliens.
Actually, the Chinese ones is very, very.
Come on now, Carl. This is the Dark Mirror show. We can go in any angle. You really should have researched all angles on this one, is all I'm saying. So, no, anyway, right, let's get back to Area 51. So, this. Oh, God. There is nothing anybody has said to me so far that has made me think anything other than there's a rational explanation. Nothing so far.
I think you've got a hodgepodge of everything going on there. I think you've got secret testing and you've got some experimental testing, and I think there may be some back testing going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with Mark every single word he just said. But what I don't believe there's. You've got a flying saucer sitting in a hangar and everybody's looking at it going, hello, hey. People don't know what we're seeing, but they can come over, they can drive up and we'll just chase them off in the camo dudes in their white pickups.
Really? What is the relevance of the black post box thing?
Okay,
you can actually post letters there.
Not anymore, it's been gone for donkey's years.
So what was it anyway? Was it just a post box? Did it have no relevance whatsoever apart from being a post box?
It was a post box.
Is that it?
Basically, at the corner of Groom Lake Road, there used to be, there still is, there's a concrete plaque, and on that concrete plaque used to be a post box, and they used to call it the black post box because of black projects that happened at Groom Lake, which the government admitted has happened there, but they got rid of it because people nicked it.
All that security, and it kept getting nicked.
Yeah, but you got to remember that particular area was. We're talking. You probably have to drive about 3.5 hours to get to into the base. But that was the first public thing. It's on the corner.
How far away from Las Vegas is this?
83 miles.
Right, so you're out in Vegas. You're having a fun time. I know. Let's go and nick the black post box.
But that's like that town in Germany with a very rude name. People, they've had to have them specially concreted in now because British tourists kept going over there and nicking the signpost.
I was going to say that to me. It sounds like a typical British thing that you do when you're drunk.
It's also about the same famous thing about the Kennedy assassination. They used to have a plaque on the road, but people kept on nicking it. So now it's just a white cross in the middle of the road because people used to nick the plaque. So it's the same thing. There's a post box. When I was last there wasn't a post box. You can go to the highway, which has this name where you can stick your stickers against the wall and there's a UFO. You can go to a diner, which has a pickup truck dragging a UFO.
That's the point. Did you bring me back a car sticker or a fridge magnet?
I didn't. Sorry, I was very, very drunk.
He was drunk, everybody, nicking a black post box in the middle of the Nevada desert.
Yeah. I never nicked anything out of the Nevada
desert. If anybody wants to find where the black post box is, they need to go to Mr. Hutchinson's house and check out his front garden. So, hold on. I still have it was a post box, right?
Back in the day it was.
Right, yeah, okay, so it's not there anymore, but when it was there, right? Why there? Was there a house there, or was there a village there, or was there a town? Was there... Just why?
Why not?
Because the aliens have got to have some way of phoning home. Back then, they had to send a letter. Mum, please send me some money. You know?
At the end of the day, it was a place there. My personal views on it over the years, I think it was just put there to give something an opportunity to.
It's a photo opportunity
as a focal point for Area 51, because at the end of the day, you can go there, you see it. Great, it's just off the highway. You don't really have to do anything. But if you want to drive up to the back gate or the front gate...
Is that euphemism?
No.
Drive up to my alien back gate.
If you have studied it, there's famous things about the driving up to the front gate or the back gate of Area 51. They're nowhere near Area 51. We're talking miles away.
Yeah.
But there's this place which has the famous signs. We will kill you if you cross this line. And there's these, when you go to YouTube, you see these where the nutters just drive over and get arrested. They don't get anywhere near Area 51. They go to somewhere which is a holding area, nowhere near Area 51. They get given the right act at them. They then basically get told because of the state, you can't fly drones there. You can drive up to it. There's various different places. You've got Sniper Hill. You've got all these places that is on YouTube. I just think it's a focal point for people who like to think I'm going to go.
Draws attention away.
It draws people attention. Yeah. Yes, I had an absolute scream. I went there, I did this, I went there, I went to the diner, I sat at the diner, bought a baseball cap with...
Did you?
I didn't get you a fridge magnet. No, I didn't get you a fridge magnet. But I've done all that and did all that, and I went up to the back entrance to where
See?
No, I didn't do that. Not on that day. But yeah, you go up there, you see the signs, you see the markers. The weird thing about it is, you drive up to this gate, and there's a gate. You can walk over. There's not as a physical gate. It's like just a thing you drive over. Yeah. But then you look up, and there's these little markers going up in the desert, up this side of the hill. You've got another one going up one side. And you just think, this is really secure. Anybody can walk in. But it does have, you can see these listening devices, you can see the cameras. And yes, if you stepped a foot over that, out of nowhere, you will get this thing coming up to you.
Was you tempted?
Weird. No.
I'll bet you was tempted to put a toe over the line.
No, I wasn't. I was told because we were, last time I was there, we were followed by the famous white pickup, the Ford pickup with the camo diesel, literally coming in. So no, I wasn't tempted. And then it was at the time when people were talking about the Sniper Hill, where there's supposed to be a sniper's point above looking at the back of the gate. If you step over, they'll shoot you and all this sort of rubbish. But no, I wasn't tempted. I was hot. I was sticky. It was uncomfortable. And all I wanted to do was see it, take a photo, and head back and get a drink.
I've just had a brilliant idea. As you guys know, I've got a metal leg. How's about if I go there, go up to the line, take my leg off, and just chuck it over the line, attached to a fishing line?
Oh my God, tempting. Anyway, on that note, we've actually come to the end of the show. Oh, I'm getting fingers pointed at me.
Can I just say before we close off, Mark, you say that about your leg and you throw it across. There's a YouTube clip of a bloke in a wheelchair who pushes his wheelchair across.
Yeah.
And the wheelchair. He basically the wheelchair gets confiscated, and he has to come back.
So I'd have to hop it.
They wouldn't give his wheelchair back because it was across the Area 51 border.
And on that note, as I say, we have actually come to the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed our whistle-stop tour of Area 51. And we are back once a month on the Dark Mirror Show. That's what we're doing. Paul,
just for now.
Carl is going back to his chicken balls. And we thank very much. Oh, hello, we've got another finger being pointed. Come on then, Mark. What do you want to say?
Before we go, I'd quite like to, for next month's show, if everybody agrees, I'd like to do a show on the Yellow Emperor and the Dropper Stones.
What the hell are you talking about now? I never heard of that.
Remember I was talking about Chinese aliens? Chinese aliens?
I'm not doing an alien show every other week, or every month.
No, it's just one area we haven't discussed. Ever.
No,
you
want to discuss that because nobody
knows what the hell you're talking about. I know.
Exactly.
They don't know what they are.
Hold on, I'm just looking at my diary, everybody. No, we've already got a topic for our next Dark Mirror show, Mr. Manley.
Can you tell me what it is so I know what to research?
Who's researching this time? You, me, or thee?
I don't know.
I think I'll do this one. We're actually just... Oh, there's a little treat, a little teaser for you. We're going... I can't believe we're doing this.
Is it going to have words in it that you're going to ask us to pronounce for you?
Oh, hell yeah.
What's the subject? Come on.
We're not talking aliens, that's for damn sure. We're talking Scottish myths and legends. And on that note, I love you and leave you.
Tiny Yetis. Do you know what? The one thing I've got to say in all seriousness, the one about tiny Yetis, like the Scottish grey men, you got to be careful of them.
Can you?
You got to be very careful of them because they'll claim they've been bullied for over a year. So you just got to be really careful.
On that note, we're going.
Thank you for
Good
listening.
night.
Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.